Oh yeah, hello out there on YouTube. Get all straightened up. So I didn't really do a live show throughout the week because I wanted to talk about other things, but I kept going back to some things that have come out online and on YouTube and stuff. And it was amazing. Usually I'm like, you know what? Somebody sent me something. But this time it was really odd because it's almost like I found it and other people found it and there was kismet and stuff, right? Now, I could have been real dramatic. I ran a video through my head. I kept coming back to the title of this video. No more comics on the, Marvel comics on this channel. And I wanted to be careful. I wanted to be real careful, man, because like I'm not making a call for everybody to rise up with me. It's not even that. It's a very quiet thing. It's almost giving them what they want to a certain extent so I can move on to better things. Right now, if you want to get, a lot of hits on a video or two, and let's face it, when it comes to YouTube, music, and television, you're only as good as your last video. Um, yeah, I wanted to be real careful to make it clear that it's a personal choice. Hey, Mr. Gretzky, what's going on? It's a personal choice. It's me. Like I said, this video ran through my head. I was going to like quote some lyrics from an old song called "Emperor's New Clothes" by Sinead O'Connor. I was going to do this. I was going to do that. And then I was like, no, just get it out there. Keep it light. Keep it straight. It's not a big deal. Eric Breen is here. All right. We got the usual cast of suspects piping up. So going by the title to get on with this title of the Kevin Kelly is out there. You're catching me live. Nice to see you, man. So the title of the video is No More Marvel Comics live show. But basically that's no more Marvel Comics will be discussed probably after tonight. Currently, the current Marvel that's going on, the one that's been around probably like it's when I have to decide in the last 10 years. There'll be no new books being shown on here. I'll still pop up with the older stuff if I get a haul or if I go, back to the 90s, 80s, 70s, whatever I feel comfortable with. Because one of the few things that about this channel that I've always put out there, and I've been real humble about it. And when I say humble, not like I deserve a lot of credit, humble as in I don't want to come off like I'm a big whiner or something because I could have went with it. Is I really had a video that popped, went viral, and I had a lot of people talk me down. I didn't feel quite right about it, to where I could have been one of the SJW Marvel channels, one of the edge lords, shit lords that they called them back then. Yeah, I brought them the FF. Marvel is just junk now. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Um, but there's things going on behind the scenes. The thing that I was talking about that I and a lot of people, and it didn't take a lot, ran across, and it didn't take a lot of brains to figure out that probably about two of the people that sent me the video found it through Diversity in Comics. Apparently, he talked about it. Was a channel called The Fourth Age, and he did a video about the Sana Amanat lady that works at Marvel. Now, here's the deal, right? I've got a lot of books, right? I was going to find the big book of conspiracies, but I'm still unpacking stuff, as you can see. But I found this one, Big Book of Urban Legends and Conspiracies and stuff. They're fun. That's just the deal. I'll read stuff like that. I'll watch X Files. This stuff really took off in the 90s with television shows and, conspiracies, urban legends, Illuminati stuff became like a joke and stuff, right? But there's enough going on with Marvel Comics that I just get this gut feeling not to support them or give their books free advertisement on here. It all goes down to a lot of people who work for Marvel, whether they're contracted or not, or whatever they call it, where you work for Marvel, but you're really just contracted, so you don't really work there and stuff like that. I just can't, with my conscience, something inside. I listened to that gut feeling that no support. There's going to be no support from him. And luckily, the way I collect comics and stuff, it's secondhand usually. So there hasn't been a lot of things going on that I've given Marvel my money. But we're talking about like, Mark Waid with his the way he was online to begin with, which really surprised me because I've met Mark Waid in real life. I have a picture of it at con. So it really surprised me how about a year after I met him, all this stuff started coming out about how he acts on Twitter. Um, The Dan Slott thing is, to me, where all this really started way back in like 2010 or 11 when I saw him sort of attack a fan, and he would argue with people. And I always wondered, like, there's got to be, I mean, are these people really like this? Or is there an end game here? And then, of course, Marvel more or less had this big attitude with the Milkshake Crew, Heather Antos, and all of them, who I will say is a nobody. And I actually saw on Twitter today there's some people taking her bait. She's still trying to be somebody. And that's another thing. I'm not going to take the bait and stuff. I always try to keep this channel at least, kind of positive. I've reached a few points I could have gave a crap. All kinds of people out here, man, talking. We'll go through the comments in a little bit. But I really want to get out what I'm saying here and stuff like that. But this new marketing ploy, if it is that's what I'm saying. It's conspiracy theory. It's not getting nuts here. Conspiracies are fun. But what happens as you get older and you realize how crazy the world can be, three things happen. A conspiracy is just something for fun and it's not true. Or you find out that a conspiracy has like, a nibble of truth and it's grown from there. Or what has rarely happened, and it has actually happened, which blows my mind in like the last 5 or 6 years, you find out that they're true and it's bigger than you thought. And you're like, what the hell? Really? It's hard to believe. X-Files is real. I mean, what? But there's a ton of creators I could go down that are just nasty online to begin with. Just nasty. It blows my mind. And they bait people, and it seems like they just want this attention. Whatever it is, they want to be a star and they want to be considered a star. Then when you have the real comic book stars like Jim Steranko saying, why go on Twitter saying, why would I go work for Marvel when they're playing peanuts? And he kind of mentions the talent they have. It's just ugly for the hobby. And as a collector like me, I'm not interested in wasting my money on bad books so I can get online, keep a comic book YouTube channel. That's something I do on the side when I have time or feel like I have something to say now. I'm not going to waste the money and just talk about the same negative thing over and over and over and over. If you collect comics and you're out there and you find 1 or 2 books that are good for you, great. I'm like, go for it and stuff, right? But a majority of the comics are horrible. Did a live stream last week. Immortal Hulk came up. And I'd already had a talk with Anderson and I think Scott Connor and a few people, some of the people I mentioned, and sometimes they pop up here. But it's like, it's not that great of a book. It's just that every book used to be that good, and people are starting to wake up to that and stuff, I feel like, right? But like I said, when there's smoke, there's fire, and you have a gut feeling, just get it out of the way. For people hopping in here, when I started to try to do live streams of the week or do other kind of videos and stuff, trying to kind of get back in there, this topic kept getting in the way. So I figure I'll just get it out, because in future live streams, if you bring up current Marvel comics, I'm going to ignore it. I mean, you guys can talk about it all day long if you want, but I'm not going to do it. I have a Gmart comic book haul coming in now, $85, $93, whatever. It's $85 is accumulated with my online store. They ship it to me for free, and I'll do a haul video. I have been buying the dollar comics where they reprint older Marvel comics and a few facsimile editions. And I'm not going to include them in the haul video. It's going to be things like that. It's not something that's going to be out there. I just kind of want people to know that when Marvel comes up, I may not talk about it. Now, the other hand is that I come from the era where a lot of the people that made comics had grown up on comics and they loved what they were doing. So when it comes to people like John Byrne, Mark Grunwald, Steve Englehart, some of those old school guys, Chris Claremont, George Tuska, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, who am I leaving out? Peter Gillis. I could sit here all day long, talk about people who worked with Marvel in the past. Yeah, I'll show that stuff, talk about that stuff. But it's this current Marvel, this atmosphere. That video by the Fourth Age, really, it was things I'd heard before, but it was all put together in one video. And I'm like, oh, this is just, there's something going on. There's something going on that I don't want to support, and I don't know what it is. And it's not just marketing, but it's heavy-handed and it feels wrong. Now, things in this world aren't black and white, but there are things that are black and white. And when a company and the people who work for that company or associated with that company are calling other people gatekeepers because they can't move forward the way they want, they're the ones that are attacking and they're being the gatekeepers. But it's worse than that. They have declared themselves people who are deciding who is deserving of their product, and they forget that it's a product. You know what I mean? They decide who's deserving of what, and that's wrong. When they want to limit speech, it's wrong. When they want to call you names and try to ruin your reputation and stuff, and insult with the isms and stuff like that, it's wrong. It's just wrong. This isn't fun and games. Sometimes it's just crazy people online, and sometimes the stuff gets heavy handed. And if you go back and look at my SJW's Killing Comics video and somewhere out in there and stuff like that, I called it. Somewhere on the line, going all the way back to where they censored that Joker cover on the Batgirl variant special. If you've been in the comics, you know what I'm talking about. There's always been something wrong with this, with their tactics and what they're trying to do and what they're teaching. And the most disturbing thing is, to me, is that they are trying to target a younger audience, yet their comic books cost $5. And to me, $4, $5 and up. And to me, I'm just sort of like, that's a bad business decision. Then you got to remember, this is a business. So who are they really making these comics for? And I could go on there with a conspiracy theory. I think I did a live show a couple of weeks ago, putting a few things together, and I laughed about it. So it's just for my conscience to make sure that I am not promoting something that doesn't feel right anymore. And that's sad. That's a very sad thing, because a lot of us grew up with Marvel Comics. But these are not the people that made those books. And the people who made those books don't want to go back. Steranko, Byrne. They know something's up. You know what I mean? They're on the end. Maybe it's just a money thing. You know what I mean? But to me, it's almost like if the old school guys went back to Marvel and made books, it's a step in the wrong direction for their career with where they're at. Doesn't matter their age and stuff, right? So let's look at the comments here. And I'm probably going to have a few more things to say, because like I said, I thought about this show all week, even though I didn't want to. I thought about things when I was driving for work and stuff, right? What do we got here? We're going way back here, guys. So let me see what's going on. And the other thing is like, I haven't really read the comments. I just kind of scanned them. These things for years have just been the elephant in a room for a lot of people. A lot of people want to like YouTube videos that just talk about comics and stuff. I'm one of those people. I get it. And then every now and then, as a creator, where you come out here and you talk about comics, you can't escape some of this stuff if you're into comics. So that's why, you just reach a point where you get it out and you find out a lot of people have a lot of feelings, right, about it. And, isn't it amazing how you can just turn a whole audience against you? And you did it to yourself. As an audience, we did nothing wrong, Okay, here we go. Mark Gretzky, I just dropped off Fantastic Four. I knew better. When I saw who was on the book, I knew better. Kevin Kelly, Marvel is just junk now. Absolutely. Gore Vidal is here. How are you doing, Mr. Vidal? Hopefully, I'll be getting some videos where I can get some feedback from you, probably looking at some comics and stuff, right, from of yesteryear. Eric Breen, I quit Marvel 6 years ago. Stephen Moore is here, so he gets to do a live show again. He's been watching a lot of my videos. I've just canceled a load of comics due to how I feel about the scene at the moment. Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. I think it's okay to say this because it's not so much naming names and trying to destroy people are doing this. It's kind of like their actions. It's like, if we're not the audience, we hung in there and fought in there, and we kind of hoped that comics will get better. And things would turn around. It's the battered wife syndrome, where you keep coming back and stuff like that. Give them what they want. I'm just going to walk away. Mr. Gretzky, I quit DC Comics, new books in 2016. I'm only giving money to Archie Comics. DC is a little bit of a different story. DC has me by creator. Grant Morrison's doing a Green Lantern book. He's got some Black Stars coming out. That's it. Doom Patrol, excuse me. Doomsday Clock. I'm finishing that out. I'm pretty much done. Um, and I'm trying to be honest here. Whatever I ordered coming up from Gmart, whatever is coming out in comics in 2 months, I think I only got 3 books. I'm looking at a $10 with my discount for pre-ordering. I think my bill came to $10. I got rid of all the Marvel dollar books and reprints and facsimile editions and stuff. And yeah, $10. I think there's 3 books. I know one's Grant Morrison's Black Star, and that's it. I mean, yeah, I mean DC has hired some really scummy people too, and all of them keep getting busted. They destroyed Vertigo, their Black Label. Is a disaster, and it was the people who were making the books and an editor that they tried to protect and quietly bring somebody new in. Kevin Kelly, there are too many titles on one character. The price and all the stupid diversity. They're fooling themselves if they think that's what people want. Again, when it comes to especially Marvel Comics diversity, they were the ones to have this diversity that the current, I want to say audience, but who really is the audience for Marvel? I mean, let's be real here and stuff like that. Try to act like it was never there. Yet they want to celebrate characters like the Falcon and the Black Panther and the Black Panther movie and stuff like that. Yeah, just never. They just, that's what I'm trying to tell you. There's something else going on. And Eric Brand, I'm buying more Archie than any other company as well. That's awesome. Archie Comics is really, I've really seen Archie Comics really take off the last couple years again. I mean, they've been around for over 80 years. They've been around for quite a while, but this resurgence that's in them. I mean, you talk about a company that's made some right calls, man. Yeah. And isn't it amazing that they have one writer that I can think of off the top of my bat who wrote Archie for a while? Seems like he behaved when he was writing their book, and as soon as he got back with Marvel and stuff like that, he started becoming an ass again. I mean, let's be real. Dan Slott ruined my Spider-Man. Kevin, that was from Gretzky. Kevin Kelly. Yeah. Stephen Moore, I just saw a video about the new Gwenpool comics lagging of the Marvel readers. I'm really not surprised. Never read a Gwenpool comic, nor do I want to, but I have met people who have, and I've heard enough. I mean, the word of mouth has really made me feel validated, vindicated for not checking out a lot of new stuff, which is why I don't really put out a lot of opinions. But I'm really glad that I have not been supporting financially, this company and stuff like that. I noticed this is my recommendations when I watched the scene from American Psycho. How else did anyone else get here? Henry Studio, California. Just to touch on that, shadow banning on Twitter is real, and I was shadow banned for quite a bit. And last week, I believe it went away. Okay. I had a tweet go, I won't say viral, but it became very popular. And I was like, oh, I'm back if I want to take advantage of it. I just don't have, I'm just doing more in the real world and don't have a lot of time to be online. I scroll through Facebook now and I'm off and on like in 2 minutes now, And YouTube, I'm not going to say they did the same thing. I don't know about they've been changing with the algorithms. And I will say, since we're here, I'm just putting it out there, right? If you followed my channel probably for like the last 2 years, you may remember that I actually had people trying to take down my channel. I had my last 2 live streams, I had to get reviewed for monetization. I had to get them reviewed because somebody flagged them and it was ridiculous. And kudos to YouTube because they reviewed it pretty quick. I've always had this underlying people who, if I give my opinion on certain things, I start getting told that people are, somebody tried to access an account here. I'll get a weird message there. I'll have people trying to bait me in like they're my best friend and do me a favor sending a message. There's always been that drama behind the scenes. And making a video like this, if they're still there, it's going to happen again. I met Dan Slott at a convention a few years ago, and he was just the nicest guy to talk to. That's Gambit 896. I witnessed Dan Slott having a huge line at Baltimore Con. I think it was last year, and he seemed to be very nice to everybody that was there. But Dan Slott is the guy that shows himself online. I've always wondered if he would act the same way towards people if he was face to face with them. Now, this was also a bunch of fans there of his work, which, he deserves. The guy's been in comics for like 29 years or something. I actually have an annual from 1990 or something where he wrote his first Spider-Man story, and I think it was his first work. So that's what I'm trying to get at. The guy has put in the work, but we're talking about supporting somebody that gets pretty nasty online, and he likes to bait people. That's just it. I mean, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And it's not a case of, well, Tim, people are different. It's how come you can't treat your fans like you do in real life? You know what I'm saying? There's been quite a few times where he was supposedly calmed down by Marvel without them wanting to say he was calmed down. Who needs Jim Steranko when you have Mags Visaggio? I have read Mags Visaggio. Okay. I sat down and actually read some of her work. It's not there. And that leaves it with what she does online. And yeah, I want to respect her pronoun. I actually saw Mags at Baltimore Con also. And she didn't have a lot of people coming up to her table. This is right when she was really kind of showing herself a little bit. And then to get attention, she's trying to act like she felt threatened and attacked or something while going back to her hotel room and stuff like that. A lot of things that are questionable in my eyes after actually like being there and seeing her either last year or the year before. Baltimore Con's going on now. I heard from Charlton66, by the way. Seems like he's having a blast. He's posting stuff on Instagram. But when it comes to the merit of work, if I picked up a book that this person worked on and I knew absolutely nothing about them, like in the old days when you just knew a name and you could recognize somebody's art, things like that, when you didn't know what these people look like, you wouldn't have access online to them. If I read that book without knowing who Mags Visaggio was, complete stranger and stuff like that, it would be total crap. That's the thing. Poor quality stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing. And that leaves that person. And when you write with the quality that this person writes and you get a lot of work, that's part of the conspiracy. You're wide open for how you start getting unanswered questions and people want their own answers. How is this person getting work? People, if they don't get an answer, they're going to come up with their own answer. Okay, I'm glad. Oh, and that's the other thing. I'm sorry, I'm skipping around a little bit, but people have been, as in this video and stuff like that, if you've hit the bell, people have said they're getting more notifications when I do this, but it really hasn't been that big of a deal. I have a small audience, so I don't want to act like it was overwhelming. You're going to sell your new Marvel books. I am going to be getting rid of them. Yeah. Like I said, I'm making this video so I don't come off as hypocritical and stuff, right? I'm the guy that in the 90s when Marvel was suing the hell out of everybody and coming, like Defiant Comics and buying up Malibu and doing things to kill the competition. To me, that was always the suits and the poor guys from the editor down all the way to the letterer in the bullpen and stuff. Those were the guys in the front line actually making the product, right? So I get that mindset in my ideas, right? I've always known about some shady stuff that Marvel's done, but to me, it was not the people on the front line that we know that make the comics and stuff, right? Now it is, I'm like, and I don't know what their goal is, but I'm telling you, man, when Joe Quesada got on Twitter and started trying to talk to some of these channels, and, purposely in making sure, and there's a lot of thought that he put in his big threads trying to talk to some of these Comic Gates channel and stuff. There was a reason behind it, and it wasn't altruist. It wasn't olive branch. That's what I'm trying to say. I've kind of seen this stuff and watched this stuff, and after watching it for several years and stuff, it's really formed an opinion and a gut feeling. Peter David. Oh, I don't know what's going on here, but we've got a lot of comments for reviews here. So let me get back here. Peter David is somebody who I love 99% of his work. I don't want to know anything else about him. back in the 80s, I actually bought a book he did about a werewolf that got up. It was a wolf bit by a werewolf, and the wolf would turn into a man. I wish I could think of what the name of the book is. And it blew my mind when I found out that that novel, little paperback novel, was written by the dude who ended up writing Hulk. I was like, holy crap. So I go way back with Peter David's work. Hulk Future Imperfect. Oh my God, you know. Ben G76 show. Marvel still makes comics. LOL. That's right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Reminds of gamer entitlement from a few years back. Who's deserving for our product? Anyone else remember that? Trouble is, it's affected loads of pop culture now: films, comics, gaming, and manga. Gore Vidal, I think you may be right, Tim, about Marvel in 10 years shutting down their comics. Kids don't read anything. Culturally, we were the last generation that grew up with them. Now, what Gore Vidal is referencing, I believe, here is I've said before that I feel like there will not be a Marvel past 2030. And of course, it is because of the price of comics. Younger kids have other things to do. And Gore Vidal, I believe, if I remember it, because I've had this conversation online several places and stuff like that, has always, I believe it's either he or another person, feel free to comment, was, kids just have different things to do. He gets to the generational thing and stuff. My idea is that Marvel has, and it may change now that they got the X-Men stuff and the Fox stuff and Fantastic Four coming and a few things, but they put out a plan for phases of their Marvel movies going through 2027. And I figured once they make the money, and these Disney being the big corporation that understands trends and new things coming in and how long things will last with an audience where they want something new. I kind of thinking once the movies aren't making any money, they'll hang in there for a little bit and comics will be gone. It's Disney, they may shut down Marvel Comics, and to me, they've experimented a little bit with licensing their stuff out. I'm a massive comic fan, and it has really affected my hobby now and how I feel about it. Yeah, this stuff, word of mouth is the biggest thing. I know people get an emotional response, or they see it directly when they get online and they see certain comic book channels and stuff, right? But with me, the way it started at the top and then it kind of snowballed was the quality of the books, the stuff I read and stuff people I respected who read the comics would tell me, and then things that were just blatantly, what the hell are they doing? The worst thing in the world to do, and I suspect, because I remember Casada saying something about it back like 20 years ago when he became editor-in-chief, so I'm kind of paraphrasing, basically continuity kills comics, and a lot of writers and them kills them. To have the continuity kills it if you're on the creative side. But I think it also has to do with a lot of people that they want to tell stories, who will agree to, work for what they pay, will turn around and didn't grow up on these comics. They haven't grown up reading comics. They don't know a lot about these characters. So we get the reboot, or we get the scroll invasion because people aren't acting right. And they come up with reasons and stuff. And then they put it under a banner of like, well, we're moving forward. Don't buy those facsimile editions and don't get those dollar books. We're trying to move forward. It's because your fans know more than the people working for you. Yeah, that's one of the things I really think they want rid of the old guys. A conspiracy, who knows? Kevin Kelly, it's all because of the SJWs and their little political platforms. Kevin Kelly, that plays a part in it. I think if you're a young person, and listen to me, young kids, young person, stuff like that, this stuff's been going on for so long. It's like if you had MTV and all your friends are watching MTV, you're going to get to know some bands you never heard of and stuff, right? But strangely enough, I live in an area that when I moved back into the rural part of this state and stuff like that. 2 years ago, I ran into I work with people who have never heard what an SJW is. I think it's all about how long you're online, how long you got to look for it, and it's sort of like when you buy a new car. You drive around, you get this new car. We'll say you got a Buick Century from 1999. You got a good deal on it, right? And you're driving around first couple of days, and everywhere you look, you see Buick Centuries. It's like everybody had them. I think once you hear about an SJW, then you start noticing everything they are and where they're at. But the thing about it is look at the Batwoman television show. It's dying. There's videos everywhere about it. There's people talking about it, and they're trying to say that it's not that bad. It's toxic fandom, a word that came down from people who want your money. They're calling you fan base toxic. It's amazing. Like I said, something's going on. We could even probably pull in the South Park China episode about how Hollywood and entertainment businesses are trying to change things so they can make a ton of money in China. We could add that to the conspiracy theory. Sadly enough, I've always thought that was a part of it because of how Iron Man 3 got changed, I got a clap. All right. Thank you, Adam. I think it's for me. All right, I'm moving through the comments. We'll get back to this stuff. Hey, Tim, this is Stay Puff 1983. Oh, wait, there's somebody in front of you. Stephen Moore. I must admit, I'm enjoying Jonathan Hickman's X-Men as it has the feel that the writer knows what he's talking about. Okay. Again, that's what I'm talking about. You find a book you like, it's cool. But like I said, that X-Men run, what he's working up to, whatever John, if he's got a long-term plan in there, and I know there's a lot of books to get with what Jonathan Hickman's doing with the X-Men books right now, but in the end, it's got to have an ending. It's got to have a payoff. And to me, that's when you really know a run is good, when it has that satisfying ending, and which is really, because the serialized comic, I was kind of wondering how long this is going on before they go on to something else. You might just have this nice moment in time because serialized comics are very rare now with the new books and stuff, right? Are we going to have another X-Men 300 one day, X-Men 100 one day? We'll see, Hey, Tim, caught some of what you said earlier. I get a sour taste every year from Marvel with their questionable decisions, like they really don't want my support. That's just it. It's I'm just giving them what they want. This is what they're putting out there. Now, one consumer like me, there is no ego here. There is no delusion here that losing me as a customer, number one, I've given you a free advertisement for years. I've recommended books and stuff. But if I stop buying your product, I'm just a blip on the map, right? They're not going to notice. You know what I mean? Like, that Howler Mouse is not buying our books anymore. I'm just sure they're going to lose sleep over it, right? But I'm kind of following with the rest of my friends and stuff. They've just stopped buying the books and they've gone off. Me, I get a good deal here. I get 35% off if I want to check something out. I just shake my head and I get burned more than anything. It's all about keeping my money in my pocket too and getting better things, moving on to better stuff. But how in the world do they get the idea that these people grew up with comics, whether they want to admit it or not? They know the fan base. They see the comic book conventions. They see that there was something close to a culture with it. And, how do you hang in there with something that just makes you feel like crap after you've read it? You know what I mean? One of the reasons I was a DC fan versus a Marvel fan is that Marvel books often to me were depressing. They really were, right? And now it's like they've cranked that up to 11. You know what I mean? Your heroes had, Feet of Clay and things like that. One of the things that amazes me, I'm losing people. This is hilarious. One of the things that amazes me is that the edgy thing to do now is to put down Watchmen, since we have that Watchmen HBO show going on, right? But what really gets me about it is that those were heroes in the real world, and these are the same people that will tout Marvel Comics. And Marvel Comics is supposed to be the world outside of your window. Marvel Comics spawned from sci-fi elements and horror elements until if you go way back to the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Ditko days and stuff like that. It really blows my mind that it's edgy to put down Watchmen now for whatever reason, when Marvel books were sort of had that same feel, atmosphere, if you will. Because like I said, I would read a Marvel book and I'd be like, God, every now and then it'd make me feel kind of bad. You know what I mean? The great thing that saved Spider-Man is that it had humor in it, but look at all the terrible things that happened to Aunt May and Peter along the way. They had it balanced, is what they were. They can howl at YouTube ruined our comic book community. Uh, they can howl at in that 5 little words, 5 word sentence you left there. There's a lot to unpack there. Did YouTube ruin our comic book community? Or did we have people come in who didn't understand what the community was at the time and split it in half and it just kept fracturing? I don't know if I don't feel like YouTube actually came after us. I think we had some people come in and tell you what ruined our comic book community was Gamergate ending for whatever it was, and all those lost souls thinking they could just jump into comic books and pick up where they left off with the comic book channels. I was there. I spoke directly to them, and I got messages just saying you were right on it. Probably more than that if we really started talking about it. You guys probably don't know what we're talking about, but we go way back in this comic book community. Dakin Hallett was one of the OGs. I consider myself OG 1.5 generation. Somebody's agreeing with you, Gretzky. That's right. Held it for review show. Is Rucka, okay, Henry Studio California, maybe talking to other people. Is Greg Rucka still fresh? I love both Whiteout series and looking forward to Queen and Country, or should I know? There are some great YouTube comic community people here. I just avoid the negative ones. Okay, we got some things here. Henry Studio California, if that is for me, it's up to you. If Greg Rucka is putting out some great stuff, keep it up there. I'm not here to do all that. Okay, they're talking more about it here. Yeah, a lot of talk going on here. Gambit 896. DC heroes have always been viewed as the heroes you aspire to be, like where Marvel's heroes have always been viewed as relatable. Well, I think of all people, Kurt Busiek, when he had the JLA versus Avengers miniseries with George Perez back in the day, he nailed it. The Marvel heroes never did enough for the world, and DC Comics were up there. Okay. All right. So basically, that's what I wanted to put out there, man. I'm not going to be buying any new Marvel comics. Maybe some old stuff, at yard sales and stuff. They won't be showed on here. I'm not really going to get into talking about Marvel in the comments. Y'all can talk as you want and stuff. And if Marvel comes up, it's going to be because something blew up, something amazing happened in the comic news or something like that. But it's not going to be free advertising for their books. And I just want to make it clear that I'm not ignoring people in the comments purposely. This is your sign. Okay. Howler Mouse will not be talking about Marvel comics. He just has a gut feeling about them. What we got here? Gretzky. I'll still see Star Wars movies in December, but after the Star Wars movie in December, but after that, I'm not giving any money to the new movies from Marvel and stuff. Yeah, that's a whole other box of wax for me when it comes to the Star Wars movies. Again, make some Star Wars movies where you make some videos about talking about Star Wars and the Phantom Menace and all that stuff, and bam, you're gonna get some views and stuff, right? But they screwed up Star Wars. It's not debatable. You know what I mean? It's not things people are split. It's not this and not that. That they've screwed it up. The Last Jedi. I don't know if there's any coming back for it. I become, again, I think it's a good thing to get an emotional reaction out of people, but it's really bad when people become dismissive, and that's where I'm at. And I just dismiss the whole thing. I'm not going to go see it, not because I've decided to go see it, because I don't want to. I really do believe you can hold separate political views for writers you read. Yeah. People can do that. The Ellen DeGeneres and George W. Bush sat down. People went nuts. Okay. Currently, I'm only getting Wolverine-related books from Marvel. Everything else I cut, but for different reasons. Well, Dakin Howlett, you're the ultimate Wolverine fan. That's like quitting heroin if you were able to quit getting Wolverine books. Completely understandable. I'll never stop Kid Ragnarok. I'll never stop buying Marvel, but it'll almost predominantly be back issues, and that's what I'm saying. You know, I'll still be getting back issues, but it's going to be from way back. You know. Okay, guys, I think I've said what I've had to say, and this. I'll tell you what, you know, I got to admit my title was maybe a little bit clickbaity, but I just wanted to be clear what this was going to be about. We peaked with over 30 viewers, which is great for this channel. Gore Vidal. Fortunately, we have a huge library of comics, American and European, for at least 70 years to enjoy. I just reread the first 12 issues of the Micronauts. I just reread the first 12 issues of the Micronauts and Handful of Grail's Warlord. Brilliant. That is brilliant stuff. I was with the Warlord from, you know, being 5 or 6 years old because the stepdad and uncle was into them. And, hung in there probably till I was about 9 or 10 with it. Really good stuff. I'm actually revisiting some of the stuff. And that's what I mean. There's so much stuff. We've said this on this channel before, man. There's so much stuff to go back and read with the state of comics the last couple years. That's what's been pushed. The price of comics, you know, you can go in back issue bins for $1, $1.50, $2, and things like that, and come out with a huge stack of comics compared to buying 2 or 3 books of the new stuff. I love how some of the stuff is being rediscovered, or people are going back and getting those runs they want. Love to see some more. Okay, Steve Moore, love to see some more of your comic book collection. It's going to happen. I'm reading manga a huge amount right now. Just read the whole Warlord series. Great stuff. Oh, man, cool. All right. So we got some Warlord love going on back to the Bronze Age, some fantasy stuff. Oh, we got somebody popping in here. Have you guys read Wendy Penny's Elf Quest? The material is amazing. Yeah, Wendy Penny's Elf Quest does not get the respect that it deserves for how long it lasted and being an indie book and jumping around from company to company. Kevin Kelly, we understand, Tim. A lot of people are dropping books. I'm one of them. I hated to see that day. Yeah. What's going on is complete Twilight Zone today with what the comic book companies, you know, Stan Lee and Dick Giordano made you feel like you were all in this together. That was one of the magic of comics, is you can honestly say they made you feel like they were talking right at you. One was a bit more formal than the other. And now that's kind of gone. Comic companies can't even make decent comic bags or boxes now. Very cheap. That's hilarious. What's good? I've had all the Warlords for years complete, but haven't read it. But less new books. Maybe I'll make time for back issues. Yeah, Dakin, I would do that. My thing with Warlord, Grail's Warlord, now that I've said what I had to say, might do another live stream. I remember the first 50 issues were awesome, in my opinion. And I haven't read those quite for a while, but you also had backup features. Jim Starlin's OMAC. Was it Conquerors of the Barren Earth? Was that in the back of that? I don't know. Okay, guys. Well, it was great for everybody to pop in here. We're going to end this stream. We may get back on here. Might pull a few books. I'm starting to get a little hankering for reading. Listen to how hillbilly I'm getting. For a little bit of Warlord. All right, guys. Later.